So in this video I will go to cellular respiration because it is so important. All our life on this planet is based on cellular respiration. It is based making energy in cells, how we can produce energy. In particular, in this presentation I considered glucose and how to produce energy from glucose. And glucose reacts with oxygen. This one molecule of glucose reacts with 6 molecules of oxygen and produce 6 molecules of carbon dioxide and 6 molecules of water and energy in the form of ATP. So where organism get energy? Autotrophs, they can produce glucose and cellulose by photosynthesis. So they use solar energy, and in then it is in this using the solar energy they produce glucose. But heterotrophs they consume food. They cannot use solar energy, but they consume food. And then what else? Other have other type of organisms, decomposers like fungi, and they decomposing wood or any plant material, and then they use this cycle to produce energy. Okay, what is cellular respiration? Cellular or aerobic respiration. Again, we can consider there are two types of respiration: anaerobic, aerobic. Anaerobic, it is without air, without oxygen. Aerobic, with air. So, and cellular respiration considers that oxygen is used from atmosphere, and there are some series of chemical reactions in mitochondria, where molecules of glucose are broken down to make CO2, carbon dioxide, water, and molecules of ATP, energy molecules. So maximum what can be produced from one molecule of glucose, 38 molecules of ATP. 38. And let's go, let's consider how it is produced. Okay. Where? First, let's consider where this cellular respiration occurs. And animals and plants, they're both eukaryotic cells, and in eukaryotic cells, this production of energy is happening in mitochondria. But there are also prokaryotic cells like bacteria, and this in bacteria it is going in cytoplasm. Okay, so it is a little bit different, but mitochondria actually looks very much like bacteria. What are the parts of the mitochondria? Mitochondria has two membranes. It has outer membrane and inner membrane. Inner membrane, and between the outer and inner membrane there is membrane space. And inside of the inner membrane there is so-called matrix. And we have also some folds. There are crystal folds. This is some change, you see here, change in the shape of the inner membrane, and also important to produce energy. These folds, they increase surface of the inner membrane. But first steps in cellular respiration include glycolysis. Glycolysis is going not in the mitochondria. The glycolysis is going in cytoplasm. And glycolysis is not very efficient in production of ATP molecules. It's only 2 molecules of ATP can be produced. And then next stage is Krebs cycle. And Krebs cycle also, it is very complicated. It is producing some other energy molecules, but as for ATP, the Krebs cycle produce only 2 molecules of ATP. Most of the ATP molecules produced in electron transport chain. Electron transport chain, it is producing 32 molecules of ATP. Electron transport chain. What is glycolysis? Glycolysis means, in translation, breaking glucose. It is happening in cytoplasm of cells, and so glucose is broken into pyruvic acids, or pyruvic acid, how it's happening. Getting in steps, quite complicated steps, but we consider only very simple. That result in reaction that we have glucose, and it has 6 carbon atoms, and it is split into 2 pyruvate molecules with 3 number of carbon atoms 3. So, and in this process, 2 molecules of ATP consumed and 4 molecules of ATP produced. So in total, it is producing 2 ATP molecules, 2 net number of ATP 2. 4 minus 2 is 2. Okay, then it is also in what is involved NADH, such molecule which is actually some kind of enzyme, but you can consider also as energy molecule inside the cell. Then next stage is this citric acid cycle, or other name Krebs cycle. It occurs in matrix of the chromosome. Matrix, you see, it is inner space in the mitochondrion, inner space inside the inner membrane matrix. So what is happening? Pyruvic acid is broken down to in this first in the result of this Krebs cycle, broken down, and CO2 released. 1 molecule of CO2 released. But what is also produced? Acetyl coenzyme A, such molecule, and it combines combines further to produce citric acid in cycle of steps, and more CO2 released, and more that's 2 molecules of ATP produced, but also these molecules of NADH and FADH2 produced. So coenzyme A is recycled, it is reused every cycle, it is reused. The history of the Krebs cycle, the Krebs cycle was discovered in 1937, but Hans Krebs, and he got Nobel Prize in Medicine and Physiology in '53 for this discovery. So before he was a Jew, and he forced to leave Germany before the Second World War. He went to America. Electron transport chain. This is the main where the 32 molecules of ATP produced, but it is very complicated. It has 4 special proteins involved, and then it is electrons are moving from NADH and FADH2. They are moved across the membrane, and such that protons and oxygen combine to produce water molecules, and ATP also, that's ATP. ATP is produced, 32 molecules of ATP. And to produce 32 molecules of ATP, you need, of course, ADP, adenosine diphosphate, and also inorganic phosphate you need, and then they combine, and then you have ATP with triphosphate, adenosine triphosphate. So it is electron transport system is relatively complicated. We will not go much in it, but just know what is the summary. Glycolysis. So first we have glucose, and output is 2 pyruvic acids and 2 molecules of ATP produced. Pyruvic acid then further gets to pyruvic acid gets converted to acetyl coenzyme A, and 2 molecules of CO2, carbon dioxide, but it is not, in these steps, no ATP molecules are produced. Krebs cycle is taking these two molecules of acetyl coenzyme, only one by one molecule per cycle, and producing 4 molecules of carbon dioxide and only two molecules of ATP. Then this electron transport chain takes takes this six molecules of oxygen. It takes these energy molecules of NADH, FADH2, and the output is 6 water molecules, 6 water molecules, but it is producing a lot of ATP, 34 molecules of ATP. In total, this process, cell respiration, produce up to 38 molecules of ATP. So again, if we can see the summary that Krebs cycle give only 2 molecules of ATP, glycolysis also 2 molecules of ATP, and most of the molecules are produced in the electron transport chain. Here some summary that glycolysis produces 2 pyruvic acid. Pyruvic acid is getting transformed into 2 acetyl coenzyme A molecules, and then they enter one by one to Krebs cycle, and in Krebs cycle the result is this 6 molecules of NADH and 2 molecules of FADH. So this is eventually it is go to electron transport chain and producing this number of ATP, and and then altogether it's 38. What will happen in the cell if there are in anaerobic conditions, so without air? There will be yet a way to produce energy, and this is in process of fermentation. Fermentation is happen when no oxygen is present. It makes only 2 ATP from glycolysis, and it is happening in bacteria, in muscle cells, which without enough oxygen, and in yeast also. This fermentation happens in yeast. Yeast is fungi. It is not bacteria, it is fungi. Okay, anaerobic fermentation can work with bacteria, both with bacteria and yeast, and it takes so this glucose split it to pyruvic acid, pyruvate, and then it go to production of ethanol and carbon dioxide. In animals, it is going different from bacteria and yeast. In animals, pyruvic acid getting converted to lactic acid. And the accumulation of lactic acid is in muscles give you the feeling of soreness. So then again, let's say, what is fermentation? Fermentation, it is a way to produce energy without this Krebs cycle and with no oxygen. And if in muscles cells this lactic acid fermentation results that muscles get tired. In yeast, it is called alcoholic fermentation because it makes ethanol, not lactic acid, but ethanol. It is also, the yeast is working in bread, wine, and beer making. Okay, next, how the plants and animals depend on each other. Of course, the plants produce glucose, animals use glucose for energy. And how is breathing, ventilation relates to cellular respiration? Okay, that's breathing is of course important because if there is not enough oxygen in blood and in the cells, then what is happening? Anaerobic reaction when only this lactic acid produced. Okay, then in of course in cells of plants, in plant cells, it's going to be different. So the plants can produce energy from solar energy. They produce glucose. They produce glucose from energy of sun, from light energy, and then this glucose can be used to produce energy in mitochondria. So because the photosynthesis is going in not in all parts of the plants but only in leaves, where in green chloroplast, they convert water and carbon dioxide, they convert to glucose, but then this glucose can be stored and or can be also used for cellular respiration mitochondria. That's it. So it is important to understand that all eukaryotic cells use cellular respiration, but plant cells, they also can produce energy from sunlight. And okay, that's all. Thank you for your time.